What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're here for Week 13 NFL picks and predictions. Our season total is now 120, 57, and 1 on the season, bringing us to a 67.8% win rate on the year. I like to compare that with the number one spot on ESPN Pigskin Pick'em every week. There's a guy at the number one spot at 136 and 40 on the season, which is about a 77% win rate on the year. Last week we had a pretty good week, going 11-3. The only losses that we took were the Bills over the Texans, the Raiders over the Browns, and the Eagles over the Cowboys. But the last 3 weeks we've been pretty solid, going 11-3 last week, like I said, 11-4 the week before that, and then 8-6 the week before that. This week, though, we have no teams on bye. Next week is going to be the last bye week of the season. So with that said, let's get started here with the Packers at 7-3-1, at the Lions 7-4. 82% of people picking the Lions right now for the morning Thanksgiving game, and I'm going to take the Lions as well. I am a little bit cautious, though, here. The Packers won, the week one matchup against the Lions in Green Bay, 27-13. But the Packers, they're going to be missing Tucker Kraft, obviously, and Josh Jacobs in this game, it looks like. And I just like the Lions to establish the run with Gibbs here in this game. I know the Packers defense has been a top unit in the NFL this season, and I think they will put some pressure on Goff. But I still like this Lions offense. I still think it has a lot of firepower, and I think it's one of the better offenses that the Packers are going to see this season. I think if the Packers want to win this game, though, I think it kind of falls on the shoulders of Jordan Love. This Lions secondary hasn't been all that great this season. I think it can be exploited. I'm not betting, though, on Jordan Love exploiting it. I've seen too many drops from this Packers receiving core, and Jordan Love just hasn't been all that great to me this season. He's been average. He doesn't throw a lot of interceptions, but he's not all that great either. Give me the Lions to win this game 28-24. Then we have the Chiefs at 6-5 at the Cowboys 5-1. Give me the Chiefs to win this game. 77% of people picking them to win. Both of these teams are coming off of big wins that they absolutely needed. And this, once again, is kind of a must-win game for both of these teams for that playoff push. I went back and forth with this game, but I am going to go with the Chiefs. But I do see a world where the Cowboys do win this game. Their offense kind of going off with CD Lamb and Pickens in this game at home. And the Cowboys did add Quinnen Williams and Logan Wilson to this defense. I think it is a little bit better, but I still don't trust the defense. I don't think the Chiefs' offense has been all that great in the past few weeks at the same time, but I think they do just enough in this game to win it. The Texas-born Mahomes, give me him playing in his first game in Dallas. So give me the Chiefs to win that game 30-25. The next game here, we have the Bengals at 3-8 at the Ravens 6-5. I'm going to pick an upset here. I have the Bengals winning. Only 10% of people have that right now. This is kind of an interesting game because these two teams are going to play again in 2 weeks in Cincinnati. Obviously Joe Burrow is back for this game, and it's a must-win situation for Cincinnati. Even if the Bengals win out, they only go 9-8, but that still might be enough to win the AFC North, which is crazy because probably 9-8 still wouldn't get you a playoff spot in the wild card in the AFC this season. But nonetheless, in this matchup, I just think that Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry kind of feel like they've lost a little bit of a step. I haven't seen the same elusiveness or the same escapability from either of them. And I think with a little bit better quarterback play last week, the Bengals could have won that game versus New England. I know Higgins is out for this game, but Chase is back, obviously. Brown has been running this ball really well for the Bengals. So give me Joe Burrow and the Bengals to win this one 31-26 in an upset. Then we have the Bears at 8-3 at the Eagles 8-3. Give me 87% of people picking the Eagles. The Eagles have been kind of a tough team to figure out this season. I think defensively they're a pretty sound team. The addition of Jalen Phillips at the trade deadline I think was a good one. It already improved the pass rush. And I think Caleb Williams is going to have kind of a tough time with this defensive line with Jordan Davis and Jalen Phillips and all those guys. But you never know what you're going to get from this Philadelphia offense. Saquon Barkley hasn't been getting nearly as involved in this rushing attack. We saw Hurts lead the team in rushing last week at Dallas. But give me the Eagles to win this game at home. I just think this defense is going to be too much for Caleb Williams to handle in this game. I think it's probably the best defense that he'll have seen up to this point in the season. Give me the Eagles to win this game 21-17. Then we have the Jaguars at 7-4 at the Titans 1-10. I have another upset here. Give me the Titans to win this game to go to 2-10 on the season. I think the Jaguars are a well-coached team, and I think their defense is playing somewhat well, but Trevor Lawrence just has not been all that great this season. And for the Titans here, they have kind of an unheard of fourth consecutive home game. I think that plays a part in this. Cam Ward has shown some growth in the last few weeks as well. He's made some pretty incredible plays in some of those games as well. I know the Titans really don't have a lot of talent. Calvin Ridley is going to be out. He's out for the season, and there really isn't a lot of targets for Ward to throw to. But I think AFC South divisional games are kind of historically strange. Give me the Titans to win this game 16-14. Next game here, we have the 49ers at 7-4 at the Browns 3-8. I'm going to go with another upset here. Give me 7% of people picking the Browns. Shedeur kind of impressed a lot of people last week in Vegas. He made some big throws in that game. But to me, it still seems like Stefanski really doesn't trust Shedeur. They ran the Wildcat like 5 times in that game. The play calling was pretty limited for Shedeur, I thought, as well. They ran it on 3rd and long situations. But this Browns defense is still one of the best in the NFL, and I think if Shedeur plays some good football, I think that they could be a really sneaky team for the remainder of the NFL season. I know the fundamentals for this game aren't great, and probably say the 49ers should win this game, but the Browns do have a day's rest on the 49ers, and of course the 49ers are traveling to Cleveland. This game in Cleveland should be a little bit rainy, in the low 50s. Give me the Browns to sneak away with this one 23-20. Then we have the Texans at 6-5 at the Colts 8-3. Give me 75% of people picking the Colts. This Texans defense is probably the best defense in the NFL. We're probably going to get Mills here starting at quarterback for the Texans. But a lot of people have been saying that he's been playing even a little bit better than Stroud this season. But this Texans defense has just been great. They've only allowed 10 passing touchdowns. They've had 12 interceptions on the season, which is a crazy stat line. I know the Colts have lost some games in the last few weeks here, but they've been on the road for the last 3 weeks. I think them coming home here is a big deal. So give me them to win this game at home 24-17. Then we have the Saints at 2-9 at the Dolphins 4-7. Give me the Dolphins with 93% of people picking them. Miami is coming off the bye. Shook for the Saints. He's been serviceable, but their defense, it hasn't been as bad as people say. But at the same time, the Saints are only averaging 13 points a game. Alvin Kamara is probably going to miss this game. The special teams for the Saints has not been good. I just think Achane and Waddle are kind of the difference in this game. Give me the Dolphins to win. Miami, a good home field advantage, 24-19. Then we have the Falcons at 4-7 at the Jets 2-9. I went back and forth with this game. I really don't feel confident picking either side here, but give me the Falcons with 86% of people picking them. The Jets defense, I think, has been playing a little bit better, funnily enough, despite trading away some of their better pieces. Tyrod Taylor's probably going to be starting for this game, and he's been probably a slight improvement at the quarterback position, but I think the Falcons just have more talent. I think Bijan should do enough in this game. Kirk Cousins looked good last week versus the Saints, so give me the Falcons to win this one 22-18 with not a lot of confidence. Then we have the Cardinals at 3-8 at the Buccaneers 6-5. Give me the Bucs to win this one with 92% of people picking them. Baker is dealing with an AC sprain injury to his shoulder, and the Buccaneers are on a 3-game losing streak. They lost to the Rams, Bills, and Patriots, but they're still leading the NFC South. I think the Bucs get the job done here. They have to stay in front of the NFC South. The Cardinals have been kind of a scrappy team, since starting Brissett. But Brissett, to me, got really banged up last week. He got sacked 6 times in that game. So give me the Bucs to win this game 20-17. Then we have the Bills at 7-4 at the Steelers 6-5. Give me the Bills to win this one with 88% of people picking them. This is a dangerous game to pick for me. It's a kind of a must win for both of these teams. The Bills, they've lost 2 of their last 3 games. But the Steelers defense, to me, they've been bad all season long with a couple of outliers there. I think if Caleb Williams can throw for 3 touchdowns against this defense like he did last week, I think Josh Allen can win this game for the Bills. I don't know if Rodgers or Rudolph will start for this game for the Steelers, but to me, there's not really much of a drop off either way. Give me the Bills in a high-scoring game here, 35-29. Then we have the Raiders at 2-9 at the Chargers 7-4. Give me the Chargers with 97% of people picking them. The Chargers are coming off the bye. I think they should be fine. I think Amarian Hampton, their starting rookie running back, should be coming back, after getting injured in Week 5 earlier in the season. The Raiders did fire offensive coordinator Chip Kelly, which I think was a good move. I think that maybe the Raiders get a little bit of a boost because of it. The Raiders are averaging 11 points a game in their last 3 games, so obviously there was something wrong there offensively. But I think the Chargers have to win this game. The Chargers started this season 3-0 in the division. Their first 3 games were division games, back to back to back. So I think the Chargers have to win this game. Give me them to win this game 25-23 in a close one. Then we have the Broncos at 9-2 at the Commanders 3-8. 2 teams coming off the bye. It looks like Jaden Daniels is not going to be starting once again, so another Mariota game. It does kind of feel like to me the Broncos are due for a loss, but I'm not going to pick another upset here. The Broncos, they've won 8 games in a row. The Commanders have lost 6 in a row, so give me the Broncos here with not a lot of science, 18-14. Then we move on to the last game of the week here, the Giants at 2-10 at the Patriots 10-2. Give me the Patriots with 91% of people picking them. The Giants had a pretty deflating loss last week at Detroit. They really could have won that game. And we really don't know who's going to be starting this game for the Giants, whether it's going to be Dart or Winston. The Patriots, they've won 9 straight games. This is the longest non-Brady Belichick era win streak in Patriots history, which is really impressive of Drake May and this coaching staff. But, the Patriots, I think they've had a pretty relatively easy schedule, but it's still impressive nonetheless. Give me the Patriots to win this one 31-20. So those are my picks for this week. Some upsets for you in there for you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.